So, dear friends, welcome to our journey of awakening together. And what I want to share today is a truth that I rediscovered, remembered. Mindfulness can also be translated as a remembering, and and this is something that most people, I would say, don't want to hear, and it's going to be difficult for a lot of people to accept. So this is only this particular part is for only maybe a few people. And it is the deep understanding of non-duality, and we all we all come from nothing, and we all go back to nothing. And to quote The Life of Brian, so what have we got? Nothing. It's a tricky place, and there's many wrong notions and wrong teachings and wrong views about this particular area of deep looking, and saying that, there is also a really incredible thread of wisdom teachers that say the same thing pretty much. I'm lucky enough to have had an incredibly wise teacher, Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, who helped me to remember, helped me to understand and look deeply at a near-death experience that I had when I was 10 years of age. And when I had this near-death experience, I had bronchial pneumonia, and I went into the hospital unconscious. And my family were called in by the medical team to say that they needed to say their goodbyes to me because I wasn't going to make it through the night. And during that time, I had this whole out-of-body experience that is well documented through near-death experiences. And this connection to oneness, to wholeness, to transcend the notion of a separate self, which our mind wants to grasp onto when this body manifests. And so to let go of that and to be free of that delusion and that notion is extremely liberating, as you can imagine. So when you experience when we experience oneness, wholeness, and the way I kind of describe it is that we already know that on a cellular level, on a subatomic particle level, and we go down to a particle level, that the energy and matter of a particle continually changes from energy to matter, from a wave to a particle. So even with that deep understanding from a quantum level, we can begin to understand. The scientists gave the name of a wavicle because it was continually changing. So This is the nature of our being. So, and when we transcend even that wave element of our true essence, if you like, then we are at one with with the whole cosmos. So as soon as this body disintegrates into the cosmos, when we go back to earth, air, water, heat, all dissipates back into the cosmos, then even the tiniest subatomic particles, or wavicles, can be bouncing around the whole cosmos. So we're completely at one. We're completely connected. If you wanted to look at that level before we go into the transcendence of energy and matter, even. So hopefully that kind of helps us to at least understand from that level. But in many wisdom traditions, we have subject and an object that lean on each other to manifest, but they lean on the cosmic consciousness, if you like. I mean, we'll never have the words to explain what we're talking about. We can only try to explain in the most skillful way that we can. But what we can do, though, we can learn through our practice, through our stopping and calming and looking deeply, and coming to the true nature of reality that is within all of us. That the truth is there within us. No one has to tell us. It's just we just have to give ourselves the silence and the space to enter that realm, to be able to touch the true nature of reality, and then to realize that we are connected to the whole. And it gives us an incredible amount of peace and tranquility and ease. Some people in a near-death experience talk about the white light, going to the white light and just going through into the white light and touching God, if you want, or the ultimate dimension of reality. Whatever, like I say, words will never be sufficient enough to explain this. It's why we need to experience it in our own practice, in our own meditation. And we can do that by stillness and silence. So I touched into this very, very deeply when I lived in Plum Village Monastery for 2 years, and I was really in the flow of the monastery, and I was in sitting meditation, and there was no thought. I was just completely in this cosmic realm. And delusionally, I thought that I cracked it. And it was delusion. It was delusional because that's why my teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, says that even the Buddha would have had to practice all of the time, because awakening, a moment of enlightenment, is fleeting, because everything changes. Everything changes, except when we transcend all notions, when we transcend all things. So everything in this realm is changing. So it's very difficult, particularly when we live in the everyday world, like most of us have to even touch into these states of oneness. I think it was Jack Cornfield. I think one of his books was called After Enlightenment, the Laundry, and that's pretty much, again, we have to come back into this realm and function, and that's why it's very difficult for many practitioners that have touched into this state, and a lot of a lot of practitioners have a crisis, and I certainly had a crisis along my journey, of what is the point. So we have to be very, very careful when we're practicing this, and this is why we need community. It's why we need sangha, what we call sangha, or community, and we need wise beings around us that when we if we do have a crisis, we can have some good counsel. And luckily, I was in that place when I had my kind of existential crisis of what is the point in me being here. And luckily, it's when I know that the true cosmic nature of reality is oneness, and then we get this realization, this understanding that wow, it is really a miracle that we are here, right now, and there is a meaning for every moment. And how do we want to show up in that moment? Do we want to show up with love, kindness, compassion, equanimity, trust, respect? Or do we want to show up with anger, violence, hatred, or things that are not so strong as that, but just resentment or jealousy? How do we want to show up in the world? And but if we have all of these beautiful essences like kindness, compassion, joy, equanimity, trust, respect, then this radiates within us and it radiates out into the world as well. So our loved ones benefit, our family benefits, our community benefits, Mother Earth benefits when we're more mindful. So when we look at the kind of relative dimension that we're in now, in an everyday moment, we can be also in and aware of the ultimate dimension of reality as well, of quantum physics, if you like, quantum physics and the theory of relativity, and the link between the two is mindfulness and meditation and our deep looking and deep knowing. So we can access this realm, and then when we access this realm, how can we have discrimination? When we realize that we're connected to everything in the cosmos, how can we have discrimination? How can we other others, animals, plants, minerals, other human beings? How can we say that they're not us? So Thich Nhat Hanh, says that this is because that is. Jesus said, "Love thy neighbor as you would yourself." So anything that is coming from really anger, hatred, violence, fanaticism, idolatrous views, is most probably a wrong view, and that is why with this practice, that is why engaged and applied ethics, we can be a power, we can be a force in the world with non-fear, and then we can act from a place of real strength, and we can change the course of sliding doors. We can change the course of our human history. The individual consciousness is the collective consciousness. The collective is the individual. So, do we want to carry on the way that we're going, or do we want to change direction and start to come from a place of kindness, compassion, trust, equanimity, joy, trust, respect, all of these essences? So one of the big teachings in all wisdom traditions is not to be indifferent. So many of us are running from the difficulties. We don't want to look at it. That's why I said why this topic here is only maybe for a few people, because we don't want to look at it. We want to run from it, and we want to cover it up. We want to cover it up through maybe consumption, through food, alcohol, prescription drugs, non-prescription drugs, sex, pornography, surfing the net, doom scrolling, continually running, covering up. Or do we want to wake up, and do we want to act from a place of a global ethic and responsibility, and not to be indifferent, and to call out, this is wrong. The killing that is going on in the world right now is wrong. And how are we going to change this? So as a collective species, we can we can make a difference in the world. We can make a difference in the world. Or we can sleepwalk into maybe the next great extinction. And this is the thing that most people don't want to look at, in my experience, that we can talk about these things, but they still want to run, they still want to cover up. But the ones that are of us that are awake enough to see what is going on in the world, can we, through love, kindness, compassion, equanimity, joy, trust, respect, from this place and non-fear, change the way our species is going, and act from a place of non-discrimination and equanimity and love? That's the question. And we can do this by stopping, calming, looking deeply, and seeing the true nature of reality. Thank you, dear friends.